Hi, I'm Nightscar. I live in the warrior community in J-Clan. I live a good life in J-Clan. I'm J-Star's deputy. J-Star's first in charge and I'm second in charge. But what were things like back when I didn't know J-Star? When I didn't have any hate towards humans? When I had a human friend when food was scarce? When I had to hunt just for myself? Well, let me tell you about it. I don't plan on telling J-Star. I can't keep track of the days at this point. I was making my way through the forest to my human friend. Her name is Jamie. A few thorns got stuck in my back while I slashed at the branches with the dagger Jamie gave me. It had a very sharp and narrow steel blade. I finally got to the human's home. I pranced over to the human's home and Jamie and the father were waiting for me at what they call the back door. I noticed they had a white cloth in their hands. Jamie held out her hand. It had food. I ate the delicious food she had and I looked up at her. She grabbed my scruff. I was a clueless kid and thought she would put me in a bucket filled with water, but she just held me down. I saw her father bring forth the white cloth. I was a bit nervous, but I trusted them. I felt the white wool cloth being put over the right side of my furry face. I was then released from the small yet powerful hands of Jamie. Jamie sat with her legs in a cross position and patted her knees softly, signaling for me to sit in her lap. I was in the middle of walking over to her and all of a sudden I hear, "Woof, woof, woof!" I turned my head, ready to attack at any moment with my fur standing on end. It had only turned out that the father opened the door to the human den and their imitating brown-black dog was alarmed because of the opening of the door. He was their new dog, so he just needed to get used to the door. I couldn't make out the words of the mother, but Jamie had to go inside. She nudged me with her hand, not wanting to disturb or hurt my petite kitten body. I tumbled off of her as she had gotten up from the wooden flooring of the deck. She walked inside and waved at me. I knew that meant I should go home too. Was prancing back through the forest between my den and the human den as I accidentally walked into a clan's territory. I assumed I had gotten lost on my way and didn't know what the clan would do, but as I stated earlier, I was a clueless kid, so I thought they wouldn't care much, but I was wrong. One of the clan members started yelling harshly at me and it started running at me, so I whipped around in panic and ran as fast as I could away, still remembering how to get to the human den. After running for what seemed like forever, I tumbled down a hill. I was now sitting in a small pile of bright orange leaves. Some were dead, though. I was submerged in darkness, so I looked up, expecting to see the sun covered by a cloud. But it wasn't the sun being covered. Big weeping willow trees with tons of leaves surrounded the area. No light seeping in from the trees meant it would soon become cold. When it eventually became cold, it felt refreshing against my shadowy black silk kitten fur. I felt free. The next day, I need to move forward. After I had woken up from the nice place I found under a rock, I realized it had been pouring while I slept. That means more fish in the creek, I thought. But where would the creek even be, I asked myself. I looked around, yet nothing seemed damp. All I could smell was a strong morning dew on the grass. I had then noticed a bit of water streaming down the grass. I followed this stream until it dropped off. I looked off the steep muddy hillside and found an overfilled creek that had crystal clear water that shined when light hit it. I slowly made it down the steep hillside, making sure I could get back up it. I thanked myself for not falling down the hillside and pranced over to the creek quickly and quietly. As far as I could see, there were lots of bright orange fish and coal-black stones that filled the creek. I hopped in the water without much of a splash. After a while, I caught about 5 fish. One by one, I took the fish and brought them back up the hill. I set them down on a flat rock. I took out my dagger from the tan leather holder and scraped an upward motion on the pierced fish to scrape away their scales. After that, I ate the juicy meat of the fresh fish. After I was full, I decided to scope out the surrounding area to know where everything was so I don't up getting more lost than I am. I saw a pathway made of orange and yellow leaves. How could I have not seen that earlier, I thought. I walked over slowly. It felt like a million thoughts were coming to my head just now, and the strong smells of animals I had never noticed were collecting in my nose. The grass and trees were blocking my scent. It felt like everything in the world stopped moving, except for me. I emerged from the trees into the light and saw no other animals. The place looked beautiful, though. I heard twigs snap and leaves crunch. There were other wildlife here, however, they were intimidated by my presence. If they weren't scared, why would they be hiding from me? I thought bluntly. Spotted different nests, bird nests, rabbit nests, and a few others as well. I had then heard something right in front of me. I froze. I closed my eyes. I felt it crawl up my leg. Remember, never knock one of these off you, I told myself. Then I felt it be lifted off me. I was very confused. I opened my eye in confusion, only to see a bird with the thing that crawled up my leg in its mouth. Well, all that panic for nothing, I thought. Relieved, I continued to walk forward. I saw a couple more birds and rabbits. They were not very pleased to see me. They kept running off. As I kept walking, I continued to see more and more animals along the way. I started to get tired, so I laid down on the soft grass. After what seemed like hours, I woke up to the red and orange sunrise. It was beautiful. I squinted so I could see better. I was in the forest. I was trying to remember what had happened. Then it hit me. The clan, the hill, the creek, the fish, and Jamie. Jamie. The name stung me. I missed Jamie. She always took care of me. I wonder what she would do when she realized that I wasn't coming to her house anymore. I sat there and just thought of what had happened a few hours ago, and what would have happened if I had not ran away. Would I still be with Jamie, or would I have had the clan caught me? I shuddered at that last thought. I decided to start walking again, and as I did, I had noticed that the sun was now up and out, and all the creatures in the forest were waking up too. I had decided to go and hunt for some breakfast. I had hunted before, but I usually got my food from Jamie, but Jamie was gone now, so it was most likely going to have to be an everyday thing from now on. I spotted two rabbits, one brown, another black. I sneaked quietly to a bush, locking eyes with them. I then pounced on the brown one. The other one ran off. I stuck my dagger in the rabbit so it became weak. I then started to drag the rabbit away to a patch of grass. I pulled my dagger out of the rabbit and started to eat it. It didn't taste better than the fish at the creek, but at least I had something to eat. When I finished eating, I decided to explore to get used to my surroundings. I walked in circles, wondering where to go first. I then decided to go to the thorn bushes. I slashed at the thorns with my dagger, and finally, after what felt like hours, I finally got through all the thorns. I saw a buck surrounded by trees, and I thought about eating it. But as I was creeping up to it, I thought, no, he can kill me with those antlers. So I just ignored him and went somewhere else. I walked through some trees and found some insects. I didn't know if they were poisonous, but I wasn't going to stay and find out, so I kept walking. I walked until my tiny legs couldn't move. I dropped to the ground, slowly growing hungrier by the minute. I started to drift off to sleep as the sun started to go down, until I saw black. I awoke with the start. My vision was blurry for a few seconds. Then I saw where I was. It was still in the forest, but not where the spot where I was. It was surrounded by trees, but there were no insects, no rabbits, no deers, and no birds, just trees. I also noticed that the place looked hidden, and more smaller. I then realized that I was in another clan's territory again. I need to get out of here before they catch me, I thought to myself. I then wondered how I had got there in the first place, but that didn't matter right now. What mattered was how I was going to escape. I decided I was going to have to run, so I stood up and I bolted out of there. I kept running until I noticed one of the clan members chasing me. As I looked back, I tripped over a branch and fell down. The clan member ran up to me, and I braced myself for the worst. But it never came. The clan member helped me up, and he introduced himself. He said that his name was J-Star. He wasn't a clan member. He was leader of the J Clan. I introduced myself. After I did, he told me to follow him. When we got back to the J Clan territory, he asked me a few questions like, how did you get into the forest? What are your feelings towards humans? And how did you get that dagger? Some of his questions confused me, but I didn't care. After he asked those questions, he told me that he needed to know one more thing. Do you want to join the J Clan? This question made me freeze. I thought about it. J-Star told me how much he hated humans, how they should all be destroyed. Then I thought about how I would have other people to hunt with, and they could teach me skills on how to survive and hunt larger prey. Once I thought about it, I nodded my head. J-Star introduced me to the other clan members, and I started to get used to living and hunting in the woods. I learned how to hunt larger prey and how to sneak up more quietly. In J-Clan, I felt like I was home.